Sorry for being a few minutes late. Like the best of us, a few technical issues, but we're live now. So just give it a few moments for everyone to sort of join in. We did attempt to live stream on LinkedIn, but that's the technical issue that's caused a bit of an issue. So unfortunately, we'll be doing it traditional. Anyone that does miss the session will all be uploading it to our YouTube channel as per usual. So let's just give it just a very quick few moments for people to sort of jump in. There's already about 16 plus that's jumped in, and just give it a few more moments. Hope everyone's been okay and keeping busy. We know we've been pretty flat out with quite a few of these features and doing a few things, which I'll sort of go through today. Just to recap on what we'll be talking about. As always, feel free to interrupt me as I go along. You can import points that you want to sort of cover, but just to highlight the points that have been listed, and we'll be touching on the textures and landscaping tool once again. That's because we've had quite a lot of feedback on that, and I just want to sort of run through it and show how it can be best used, as well as the 3D renders and plans. You're now able to do 3D renders using the system. So I'll be touching on that as well. And basically the other 2 points is we'll be touching on proposals and tender plans, because each time we raise that, we get a lot of feedback. So I thought I'll touch on that very quickly, as well as just a refresher on some of the other points that some of the other features that we've been releasing, namely estates and widget and a few others. But as per always, feel free to sort of interrupt me as I go along, and you're able to sort of touch on, so I can make sure that this session is as useful as possible. So I think we've given enough moments. What I'll do is I'll share my screen. I'll run through these features on a live example, and I'll go from there. So give me one tick. Let me just make sure. All right, so let me just quickly share my screen. And as always, I really appreciate everyone finding the time to jump on as well. I'm always sort of blown away by how many of you that take time out to sort of listen to a tech webinar based on the product. I wish I could make it more exciting and dance around, but that's not me. So I'll just cut to the chase and start showing these features. So the first one that we'll touch on is the textures and the landscaping tool. We call it the landscaping tool only because it just helps landscapers add quite a lot of shrubs or quite a lot of multiple items, but it can be used by anyone that uses multiple items that want to sort of deploy multiple designs or multiple features on the site. So we'll cover that. So let's just get on with it. For anyone that's just joined as a new client, thank you for subscribing. And so I've just logged in. You're able to see the map view on the left-hand side. You've got your search address bar, you've got your recent searches just below that, or you can type in a new address. But let's just go to a very familiar address that we all sort of know if you've joined the webinar before. So let me just delete that previous design. So here we've got the address that we want to come to, which is 78 Hood Street. You're able to obviously go to aerial imagery if you want to switch to that, or to the map view if that's what you prefer. But the feature that I wanted to quickly show is the texture tool. So what the texture tool is, if you go into admin and you go into texture catalog, which is at the bottom, you can actually load in textures, an infinite amount of textures. These could be tiles, these could be brick, sandstone, turf, covering from a landscaping perspective. It can be pretty much anything that you feel necessary to do as a texture. And these can be infinite amount, and we can help you in regards to these texture templates. These are just a few samples that I've got just for the purposes of this demo. So assuming you've loaded in your textures, so these could be driveway textures or paving or decking or, Merbau to modwood to, tiled areas around the pool or, Pebble Creek for driveways. I don't think anyone's doing Pebble Creek anymore, but or stenciled or types of stencils for the driveway. So regardless of the application that you're using for Canibuild, you can use that. And how it can be used most effectively is as follows. So say, for example, we use the measuring tool on the right-hand side. So if you hover over that square, it'll open up quite a few different measuring tool options. If we click on the square and just draw an arbitrary shape, and which you can see here, basically we've got this shape, but if you click on it, we've got this new tooltip, just to make it easier to work with different shapes. So if you wanted to rotate, you can rotate it like this. If you wanted to edit the shape, you can click edit and move that about as an example, or delete, or you can annotate this shape. So if you wanted this shape to be a granny flat or a pool, so you don't have to rely on the designs that you upload, you can do it that way as well. But the thing that I wanted to sort of focus on today is this little, it's meant to be a paintbrush. We'll fix the icon. To me, it looks like more like a rocket getting launched out into space. But if you do click on that on the left-hand side, you're basically able to edit this shape. So say, for example, you wanted to apply a pattern. So you can apply a pattern, you can apply decking, whatever, tiling, whatever might be the case, or exposed aggregate as an example. But what you can also do is you can also choose to change the color, if that's what you want, the transparency of the texture itself. But where the textures come in is at the bottom here. So you've got textures, and here you can start applying a particular texture. So say, for example, test, which is my demo here. If you wanted this to be turf, you can do it as turf. If I reduce the opacity, you can see that that is a texture of grass. So you can start doing this in terms of, especially like from a home builder's perspective, if there's small turfed areas or you're allowing something as a default package, you've got X square meters, you can start showing where it's going to be, indicate clearly that this is going to be grassed areas. If you're a pool company with doing landscaping around the pool and you want to show this as, you know, sandstone area, you can do that as well. And the nice thing is it rescales as you go up. So it doesn't just become like some minute little pattern that you can't see. It's meant to be indicative. So anyone looking at this can see that this area is going to be for, you know, sandstone, etc. And then so these textures, like I said previously, can be an infinite amount of different type of textures, from, you know, tiled areas, concrete areas, driveways, and we can help you in regards to this. So I'm just quickly clicking through. So decking as an example. And then the nice thing is, as you zoom in, the decking looks a little bit more realistic from a zoomed in perspective. And you can fix the zoom and you can fix the scale. So I'm hoping that you can see how this can be used. And again, the last thing we want to do in Canibuild is turn anyone into an architect where this is meant to be some hyper-realistic view of, say, decking. It's meant to be a sales application where you're speaking to a client and you're asking, okay, so is this going to be turfed area or tiled area? Let's go through the options. And then you can start saying, okay, look, if you want this material, it's going to look like this, and this is going to cost X dollars more or less, or whatever might be the scenario. So you're now able to use that, and this is the texture feature that a lot of you have sort of reached out to us, and I'm hoping that by highlighting it, you get an idea of what it's all about. So going back, in terms of the actual landscaping tool, and really the landscaping tool, it shouldn't be called a landscaping tool. It's just the ability to load in multiple items of a certain design. So right now, when you pick a pool, you're picking one pool or maybe two pools, and you have to go through a design catalog, add it, and position it. The reason we call it a landscaping tool is because it's been asked a lot by landscapers in particular, but can be used by anyone. So say, for example, you wanted to be able to place this fire pit onto the site. You can click onto this fire pit. If you click onto that, you get the same tooltip that you saw before, where you can rotate or delete, or you can just copy, and then you can start adding, you know, multiple fire pits, which probably is not the best option. But then a more realistic option is to go down and start loading in, you know, trees or shrubs or whatever might be the case. And then you can duplicate this and then start doing multiple items quite easily without the need of going back and forth to the design catalog. Now, the whole idea here is you can now, for home builders, obviously, most home builders aren't doing the landscaping themselves, but they might include a strip of landscaping requirement from a developer for a new development. So like 10 meters from the front, and then you can sort of position, say, a letterbox, where the letterbox is going to go, where some minor landscaping is going to go, which is the turfed area, which is the footpath. So these items could be pebbles or basically rock for flagstone, stepping stones, and things like that to the clothesline, to the entry, or whatever might be the scenario. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how this feature can be used and how simple it is to now start adding multiple items. You just have to click the square to end the edit, and then you can use these other functions to flip if that's appropriate. So if I click something that was more unique in shape, and see, these are some examples for some of our clients are actually, non-core builders. So for instance, we have some security companies that want to use this to be able to start saying, okay, we'll put the camera on this corner. And then if there's going to be multiple cameras, you can start placing it like that. So you can hopefully this gives you an idea of how this feature can be used. So the textures allow you to sort of showcase areas in terms of what they're going to be, tile, decking, etc. And then we've got this multiple placement item, which we've constantly referred to as landscaping, because it's being used by a lot of landscapers right now. So hopefully that gives you a perspective of these two features, and you can use these now. If you have trouble using them, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll definitely do our best to sort of assist you. And if you can reach out to one of our account managers, or even just have a one-on-one training as to how this might be best used in your use case. So I'm hoping that that gives you some perspective. Now, the next thing that I wanted to sort of chat about, I might jump over the 3D renders. What I would do is just go back to proposals, because that's being definitely a lot of companies have been reaching out and trying to do custom proposals for their purpose. So let's do one of those and show how it can be best used. So one tick. So let me just start a new draft. So let's just say, for argument's sake, we're a shed company, and we want to place a shed. So in designs, we'll just go to a shed and place an ordinary shed. So let me just scroll down and pick one that looks very sheddy. So here's one. So we've placed the shed. So we want it there. We can position it as such. A lot of shed companies have to show the driveway going to the shed, especially if it's not a garden shed, for example. So we can do that as well. So let's just mark something out. And then we can click on it and go to that pattern and do it as exposed aggregate. And for now, we're satisfied with that. Okay, so now say we've done this for a client. I can imagine we've done a whole lot of other points. We may have done a quote. We've built up a quote. We've done all these kind of things. Now, what we can do is under services, you can actually save your own proposal. So you don't have to build up a proposal. You don't have to generate a site plan, a flyer, and other bits and pieces. You can generate the one. So we've got one quick question. I'll just monitor that. Okay, so it's a really good question. The question is in relation to those multiple add items. Do you have to upload those items or those textures, I'm presuming, yourselves, or is it already coming in with the platform? We have a very large library that we can import on your behalf. So say, for example, landscapers, all tree species are the same tree species. I'm pretty sure, one rose bush looks like the other rose bush. So we can load in a large library on your behalf. Even with home builders and pool builders and shed builders, we have a copyrighted set of drawings that we can load in as a starting point. And when I say copyrighted to Canibuild and used under license if you're a subscriber. So we can do those. And in terms of the textures as well, we've got a large library in that regards as well. But you can load in your own designs and you can load in your own textures as well. That's for sure. So hoping that answers your question. And definitely, if anyone's got a question, just type it into the chat of the Zoom session, and I'll definitely try to answer that as I go along. So going back to services, what we're trying to do is this proposal. If we know the name of the proposal, we can just search for it, and the proposal that we've created is Can I Build Sheds? Before I generate it, I'll show you how this actually comes about. So here in admin, and again, this is something that we can work with you. Quick plug to Nutrient Quality Homes. If we go to branding here, this is where you can do all your branding, whether it's flyer, quote, template, proposals, and so on. So let's just click on proposals and say this is a proposal for sheds. Here you can see, can I build sheds, or the option to create a new template. So you can start from scratch, but let me just show you how the Can I Build Sheds proposal looks. So here, on the left-hand side, these are all the elements that will comprise what the proposal is going to look like. So we've got two external documents, a site plan, a quote, an external document, and an external document. So what does that all mean? You can import your own external documents. So say, for example, you've got a branded cover page that you want to reuse. You can include that and have that as the front page of your proposal. You can have as many proposals as you want. So if you've got different cover pages for different situations, you can do different proposals for those different situations. The next one was, a bit of a blurb in regards to what you want to sort of explain. So about us, it could be like a team photo or whatever might be the scenario. And then these next two items, which is site plan and quote, it basically will generate a live version of the site plan and a live version of the quote as you've got it on that particular instance. So when you generate the proposal, generate a new site plan, generate a new quote, and then incorporate all of these things together. And then the last documents, and this is just an example, some terms and conditions, and this could be, the last page that you want to show on this proposal. Now, you can go pretty advanced in this. You can, do as much as you like, but just to show you how simple it is to build this up, all that we've done is on the right-hand side, you've got elements you can drag onto this main page. So you can drag a blank page, for example, and then you've got a blank page at the end. If you click edit to open that, you can now start typing things in. So you can say, hi, say you want to speak to the client's name, you can click on token, and then you can say insert client name and insert. So you can start doing functionality like that, say hi, client name, and this is blah, and whatever you want to sort of do as a text. So you've got this visual sort of editor where you can start adding images, tables, etc., and you can do that. So hi client from, and I'll just put in an address. So what the job address is, and then you can get an idea of how you can sort of build this up and just click save. So now we've got a blank page there. You can insert a video link. So if you've got YouTube video links that you want to sort of link and sort of play in that generated document, you can do that. You can use our default cover page, but many companies choose to use the external document because they'll have an already completed cover page, which you can include. On the left-hand side, you can click on Can I Build Docs? And this is, you can start inserting any document that can be generated from the front end of Can I Build. So say, for example, you wanted to insert a title and things like that you may have purchased through the marketplace. It'll insert that in straight away, or it'll alert you saying, did you want to purchase a title as part of this proposal, as an example? Or you can just drag in quote and it'll generate a quote, or drag in site plan, or generate a site plan, and so on. So you've got access to pretty much all the documents available in Canibuild, and then you can start creating a pretty detailed proposal. So some of our clients have like a 30-page proposal that incorporates everything, so you don't have to go away and start combining them through PDF or typing them up on a Word doc and then printing and then scanning and doing all that kind of stuff. You can now just generate it out of here. And then in formatting, you've got the ability to add background images to the proposal. You can change the font, you can change the size, you can change the color of the headings. You can sort of do quite a few different modifications to how you want this to be presented. So put simply, if we generate a proposal, you can click save and it'll save to the name that you add, and you can save it against any build type. So say, for example, you build houses, granny flats, sheds, you can have a separate proposal for each. You can have 10 proposals for each category. So say you've got your gold, silver, bronze, you can already generate it, so it looks a certain way depending on what you're building. So going back, in docs, so let's just now order this. So let's order one of these examples, click order, click checkout, and we'll have to add our client name. That's the only requirement. So let's just do this for Jim Harris and click proceed and go checkout. So basically now that's just ordered that proposal. Obviously, there's zero cost to an order in a proposal. And then at the bottom here, you can see that it's now with the hourglass indicating that it's processing and it'll be generated in a few moments. I've done one previously for as a pool proposal. So let's just see how that one looks while the other one's downloading. You can send it as an email. You can even copy a link and send the link, or you can just download as a PDF. So let's just load that one. And then you can see here, it's got a cover page. And we've done this obviously for an indication of how it could look. And then we've got the flyer in this case. So automatically generate the flyer of the design that you have on that particular site. So you don't have to pick what you've done. It'll automatically know. And then you can see any equipment. So that example of that equipment, so the filter, that was using the landscaping tool. So we really should just change that landscaping tool reference because you can add multiple pumps or multiple filters or multiple items. So then it's showing that and showing what that equipment looks like. And then if we scroll down, you can see here, it's showing the pool, it's showing the shed, it's showing some landscape items. And this is from last month's webinar where I went through and generated an example. You can see I've done a texture and a fire pit. You can see I'm pretty consistent with my examples. And then if you zoom in, it's just a zoomed in view of the site plan. It'll zoom into every main item that you've got. It's generated a quote. So all of these you can individually generate these documents, but the whole purpose of the proposal is you can just generate it in the one go. You've got your terms and conditions, et cetera, and this is one of those external documents that we've placed at the end. And we've done a proposal. So imagine going to a client's property with your laptop, or you're doing it online and you're putting all of these things and you click generate proposal and you send it to the client. It's pretty impressive that you're able to do it straight away. And the whole idea of Canibuild is just to get everything back to a sales process. So as a business, especially if you've got multiple sales consultants, you can start making sure that they all look the same. You don't need someone in the office printing and binding and doing all that kind of stuff. It just makes for an easier process. And if you're using other applications just for the purposes of proposals, you can now get more value out of Canibuild because you can use Canibuild for that purpose without needing to generate everything out of Canibuild and go to another application, load it in, compile a proposal and send it through. So again, if you need any help or further information in terms of proposals, definitely we can sort of do that for you. What I might do, Bree's probably listening in. Bree, if you can get the team to email me some example renders and some of the answers, because I can't access my Slack for some reason, that'll be appreciated, and I'll show those examples towards the end. So going back to what I'm going to sort of touch on next. So just to recap, we've talked about proposals, we've talked about textures, we've talked about the tooltip where you can sort of rotate and flip and move and edit the design. The other thing that we wanted to sort of touch on in this session is just a refresher on some of the main features that we've been releasing and sort of updating in quite detail. So I'll touch on the web widget and the estates, and I'll touch on that. Before I do, while I've got it here, I'll also sort of remind everyone that we do have 3D functionality. So on the right-hand side, if you click on the 3D button, you're able to then showcase what you've done in 3D. So hopefully you can see that there. And basically, it shows the shed. So even if you don't have the 3D model of the shed, it'll extrude that shed, that object, so you can see it in some realistic way. You can also do shadowing, depending on the time of day. So you can choose what time of day it is. So let's just pick that time, that's fine. And then basically it'll also include the existing dwellings of the surrounding area. So you're able to see how maybe the existing house would be affecting the proposed build. You'll also notice at the bottom there, it's actually calculating the cut and fill as well, because if you move this up and down, it'll be basically showing you what the effect is. And then you can see the drop edges there. And you can sort of drop this down and you can see that as well. And for those of you that can hear some noise in the background, that's my wife doing an interview and down in the other office. So basically now we can see the cut and fill, etc. So I thought I'll just touch on that as well, because that's pretty impressive that you can do this live in front of a client. And if you move it around, it'll recalculate and it'll redo that. It's also smart enough to know to do retaining walls. So you can see that retaining wall on the left-hand side, and you can see the calculation on retaining wall at the bottom there. So 37 square meters for retaining, because it knows you can't do a 45-degree batter into the next door neighbor's house. And here it's smart enough to know that the 45 ends on boundary. So you can get away with it if you wanted to. But obviously someone looking at it like this might say that might be a slight stormwater issue. But the whole idea is you can start playing around with that exactly as you want it to sort of look. And this can be used for pools, etc., etc. So I might just show a pool example. And there's a few questions that's jumped in, so I'll touch on that as well. So let me just go back to 2D and add a pool. And notice that as I moved it around in 3D, it'll reflect on the 2D. So, and I'll jump to those questions straight away, guys. I'll just quickly add, I'll replace the shed. So hopefully you can see that there. Okay, and then we can go into 3D mode. And it'll work exactly the same way. And you can do it for houses. And if you've got like a fully rendered 3D model of, say, your fiberglass pool shells or the homes that you want to place or the granny flats or the sheds, it'll be a high quality render of that. So here, if we zoom up, you can see the FFL, you can see the shell, you can see the drop edge in shadow. And then again, here, if you want to remove the shadow, you can show the drop edges exactly as it's going to be. So let me just quickly try to answer some of these questions. Okay, so Breeze sent me what I've asked, thank you. And we've got another answer. So does the drop edge beam contours come from the contours in Canibuild or from a contour survey done by a surveyor? It comes from the contours done by Canibuild. We are working to be able to easily upload, say you're doing a survey, you can upload those. If you do a survey using our services, we can probably do that straight away. So it is using the Canibuild contours. But you can imagine if you're doing this in terms of speaking with the client as an immediate, since our contours are quite accurate, You can use that and already show a client what that 1 meter drop edge actually looks like and get the calculation and start being a little bit more exact without the weight of going back to the office and calculating things for a client that might not be a client. It might be just a potential client that after talking for 2 weeks tells you that they're thinking of building next year. So the short answer, Alana, is it's leveraging the contours in the system so it knows straight away. So you can pick any block of land and already start showing those drop edges. Hopefully that answered your question. If I ever answer something and you feel like I didn't answer, just follow up with a follow-up question and I'll definitely do my best there. So let me just quickly see. All right, so hopefully that gives you a bit of perspective. And again, if you, on the right-hand side, you can show the contours itself and you can see how those contours look. And then you can start placing that and seeing exactly what the effect is on that drop edge. So if we click on this and then click down or rotate, you can start seeing the effect. And then at the bottom, you can see the calculations. Again, if you go into admin, and I'll just quickly touch on this. If we go to the recipe catalog, you can actually enter in your pricing for those automated calculations. So if I click on pool right now, they'll all be 0, but you're able to show where in the quote you want to show that calculated cost. But if I quickly click on, say, these items, on the right-hand side here, you can add, okay, we've got $100 per retaining, et cetera, et cetera. And once you do that, it basically, as you go back to the main page and you move it around, see that cost at the bottom, it will calculate. So if you give it a rate per each of these items, it will automatically calculate as you move it around. And then you notice that these contours look like this. It sort of dips into the center. If you go into the 2D, and then click on the contours, it'll look much the same. So it's pretty much Canibuild's contours that's driving that. So you can see that again. And then if I go in this view, you can see that it'll be clearer, hopefully. So hopefully that answers that question. What I'll do now is I'll quickly touch on, because we are providing a lot of services to help, especially smaller builders and quite a lot of larger builders that are looking to refresh their designs, the ability to do renders. So Alana, thanks. I do my best. Sometimes I feel like my answers might sort of sugarcoat something. So the whole purpose of these sessions is to get the most out of the app and be able to sort of ask any questions. So anyone there that wants to ask even something that you think might embarrass me, just ask it away. And I'll do my best to assist. Because in the end of the day, this session is meant to be genuine as opposed to some gimmicky sales approach. So let's just, what I'll do is, let me just quickly look at the chat and I will download some images. So what I'm doing now is I'm basically just downloading a few examples onto my desktop, which I should have really done in preparation, but don't hold it against me. So, and I'll just open them and I'll show how they look. So what I'm actually doing is I've got 2 examples of renders that we're doing for clients. So I'll just share my full screen. So these are some renders that we're doing in terms of many clients have floor plans, but they haven't done renders. And just to get the most out of generated flyers and to be able to present it on the design catalog correctly. And if you're going to use the widget or promote house and land packages, you can start using this this service a lot more. In terms of pricing and process, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. I guarantee you it's cheaper than anywhere else because we're doing it not to profit out of the generation of the renders per se. It's just for you to get the most out of the app, because what you put in is what you're going to get out. So if your floor plans are looking amazing, if your renders are looking amazing, the flyers look better, the site plans look better, the proposals look better. And our mission here is to be able to help you as best we can in that regard. And I'll quickly showcase another. I'm thinking I'm still sharing the correct. So here we've got another example of one that we've done in the recent past. So hopefully it gives you an idea of what's possible, and I hope it just reiterates the idea that we're really trying to just help you get the most out of it and make your process easier. Because definitely when I was building, this was always a headache. You'll reach out, you'll try to get a render done, it'll cost a bomb. You don't really want to do it. You'll do one of them or only the one of your most popular designs, and then you'll forget to do it after you've done new designs. This way, it's a really easy in the services. You can order a render, we'll reach out to you, get it done, send it through to you. It will reflect your materials and choices. And now you've got different facade options. So I'll show you an example of how this works and how you can get the most out of it. So let me just quickly share back onto the app and I'll show how that works. So we've got a question here. Okay, so Bree basically just told me the pricing. You can tell I'm terrible in pricing, that I don't know it off the top of my head. So to get these renders done, they're $699. I'm not gimmicky, let's just call it 700. And then any revisions thereafter, like if you wanted to sort of change something, saying, hey, I didn't want that brick or anything like that, it's 149. I guarantee if you compare that to anyone else that's doing renders, it's quite cost effective, and the turnaround time's 3 days. So it's meant to be lightweight if you want to get that done. And if you're doing a whole big batch, reach out to us and we'll do something in terms of the price. But again, the idea isn't to sort of treat this as a wholly a profit motive on behalf of Canibuild. We're just trying to help you guys get the most out of it. And I'll show why. So here, let me just delete this pool and I'll delete the driveway as well. And I'll start with a house. So let's just pick a house. It might help if I'm in houses. So let's just go all. Let's click Orlando and click on this. So here we've picked a sample design that we've got loaded in. And then on the left-hand side, you can see all the different facades. So you can imagine that if you don't have the facades and you've just got a floor plan, this way is a way of even leveraging your current design sets. So say, for example, you're a grandfather builder, you've got 5 designs, they're 5 floor plans, you got your L shape, your square, your rectangle, your whatever, long one, skinny one, fat one, however you want to do it. With now what you can do is get 3 renders for each. So this is one design with multiple different renders. So you can just change the front, say, for example, it's got a portico or a balcony or a different, it's rendered, half rendered, weatherboard, mix of 3 different materials. And using the same floor plan without changing the floor plan, if you know how much it's going to cost, you can click on the different render, a different facade. It's now got the Juliet. You can apply any design options. So say the Grand Al Fresco. And now when you go to generate a flyer, say here, look up flyer, and we order that and go to order it, go to checkout. It's going to look better. You can actually associate pricing to those facades as well. So if you've got ones at $0 and $5,000 and $10,000, and that's the whole purpose of us, indicating that we can do these renders on your behalf. So here in Docs, we've got flyer, and then I'll download that. And you can see the Juliets, it's got the branding based on someone must have done the demo. You can see that it's reflecting the Grand Al Fresco, and this flyer, again, you can heavily customize it. But the whole idea is to make it simple. And now you've got a beautiful looking render on the flyer and so on. So this will be appropriate for anyone that's doing out of ground construction, including shed companies. We've done for a few. If you've got some very common shapes or barns and things like that, you can start doing it just to show how it's going to look. So jumping back, we've also got, I totally forgot to show the Canibuild sheds. So let me just download that one as well. This is the proposal that we done earlier. So here, you can see that we've got the cover page as per when I was showing those items in the proposal. We've got the site plan so you can see the proposed structure. So this can be used for council submissions, etc., the existing dwelling, the driveway, and so on. So you can see how quickly we were able to do that. And the zoomed in view, I know I've been a bit rough, but I hope you can see the idea that previously to Canibuild, even just to do this, I'm sure it would have taken you to go back to the office and draw something up. You've got the quote where I've been very sort of basic here. It just had the garden shed itself if I added more items, but again, it's just generated it. And then if I scroll down, it's got those last documents, those external documents. And then basically you've got here, and I think I forgot to click save when I added my extra note at the bottom that would have had the client's name and address, but I'm sure that you get the idea of how this works. So jumping back, just to recap, we've spoken about textures, we've spoken about the multi-add tool, and just to start training myself not to call it the landscaping tool. We've done the 3D renders and plans, and all these services are basically just can be found here, where you can start searching for render plans. So that's at $6.99, and then you can, it's as simple as clicking add, and it'll order the render for this floor plan, and we'll get in contact with you to make sure that it looks exactly as you want it, and within 3 days it's done. It's pretty much that simple. And obviously you can use our architectural services and getting detailed architectural site plans and so on. Definitely have a look through all the options that are here. To activate these options, you have to drop into the design so the system knows what you're trying to do, and will show the services as appropriate for that design and what you're doing on that site. So the last thing I wanted to sort of quickly touch on is the widget, and basically how to do house and land packaging again, and showing the new estates. So we've been sort of genuinely run off our feet on this, and we just want to sort of touch on it again to explain, and I'll use a case example. So one of our most valued clients is Rivergum in South Australia. They're doing amazing stuff. Genuinely, they're pretty forward thinking, and I value their sort of trust in us. They've given a lot of feedback in this, and I don't think that the app would be as good without their contribution. And that goes to quite a lot of our clients we've been working very closely with. So if I load up the Canibuild widget, the intention here is to leverage to, number one, have a very easy and quick way to be able to load in house and land packages into realestate.com. That's number one. So just as easy it is to cite something, you are able to very quickly just click save as a house and land package, and I can show that to you in a moment, and it'll appear both in realestate.com if you want to, as well as the Canibuild widget. So all these house and land packages on the left-hand side would have been pushed out to realestate.com as well. If you want, you can push out some to realestate.com and some to Canibuild. So say, for example, pushing out to Canibuild 0, realestate.com is not 0. So you'll be paying your X thousand dollars to realestate.com. You might push out 10 there and 100 to Canibuild as an example. And then what this allows you to do is embed this widget on the system, and then be able to click on these and start seeing, okay, is this of interest? And then you're able to sort of make contact. So if I click on a particular design, say this one here, you're able to, on the left-hand side, see the description, any features, etc., who the contact is, show contact. You're able to get the analytics as to how that's being done on your system, and you're able to do that straight away. So again, it's a pretty intuitive way to engage with your clients. It's basically a 24/7 salesperson that's sitting on your website, and it allows clients to go through and see house and land packaging. In addition, you can actually use this to search for an address and place a design. So you can opt to have that option as well as house and land. So if you want to let a client sort of pick their own block and go through your designs and place it, with the intention of, obviously it's a lead gen, and you're able to start getting more leads and engage with clients, especially after hours during the weekend. Clients can start going through your design catalog and start seeing what's best for them. So, and this is just a small land estate in South Australia. You can see it's color coded with what's available, what's not. And again, it's a pretty easy way to start engaging with more clients 24/7 without having to, speak to every single lead that comes in. And the intention is you start getting leads and sales, whether it's house and land or contract, pretty easily. I'll also just quickly load in our example. So we've got the widget on our own website just to show how that looks. And what I'll do is I'll quickly go to the app and show you how simple it is to do. So here we've got on our version of the widget, we're showing all the land estates that's available. You can turn things on and off. For River Gum, it's important for them to showcase their house and land packages front and center. So you can disable seeing the estates and just show the house and land packages, which is these dots here. You can filter by any attribute, so bedroom count, price. You can click on more filters and filter that way. Alternatively, you can just filter based on how you're navigating. Notice on the left-hand side, it just keeps on changing depending on what's in view. And you can click it this way as well. So if you click on one, it'll just jump to that particular house and land package. So here's an example of one. Okay. And then you can see all the description on the left-hand side. And since this is our website, we're being a bit relaxed in terms of what information we've added. Alternatively, you can search by address. So in the same way as I was searching on the main app, you can go to 78 Hood Street as an example. And then on the left-hand side, say this is geared for a granny flat company, you can let your clients start looking at designs and seeing how that's going to look on their block of land, whether it's a block of land that they're thinking of buying or their own house, to see whether or not it's appropriate for a granny flat. So here you can see your granny flat description. On the left-hand side, you can put in any questions. You can show what the contact is, and then it allows the client to then quickly position. From your end, you're able to see the analytics behind this as to what searches and what design, who's the client, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can imagine that client can start going through and really start making best use of this. Now we've got pool companies that are using this, because you can imagine someone can go to an address and drop in the pool in the backyard and run through all the design options. And you can imagine how quickly that will reduce the sales cycle, because when they do call the office, they already have a very good idea and say, look, I've picked this pool, it looks like it fits. It's the one that we want. We want to speak to someone in regards to the next steps. So you've got that option as well. Just to show how easy it is to place a house and land package. If we go to 78 Hood Street as an example, I'll just use this design as the sample design. All you have to do is click the filing cabinet on the right-hand side of the address, click these three little dots, package this deal. It'll ask you to fill in as much details as you want. If you've already filled in these details for this design in the design catalog, it'll already be preset, so you don't have to redo this each time. These are basically the attributes that live on realestate.com and domain. And then if you click on listing, it will show you how the listing is going to look, the render, the floor plans, etc. You can add any video links and so on. So let's just click save. I think I have to give it a name. So the webinar special, and you can hide price on listing. So if you don't want to show the price, you can click save. And then here on the top hand side, you can go to my packages, which is on the top right hand corner near Hi Timothy or Hi User. And basically here you'll be able to see the webinar special. I did forget a step. You have to lock it first. That is something we should automate. So here, if you click these three little dots and you click lock, it'll lock. And now you can go to my packages and search up the webinar special. Hopefully it comes up. If it doesn't, I might have to just quickly refresh, which I think I have to. So let me just click on this again. I think it should be done. If not, let me just give it a moment to refresh and go back to my packages and hopefully it's there. Okay, there it's there. So I just had a few moments and then click publish and then you can decide where to publish. But let's just click save or publish. And then if you go to the widget, it'll appear. So all I'm doing is refreshing it. And there you go. Added 12 minutes ago, this house and land package. This is the one that I just added. You can see 78 Hood Street at the bottom there. The webinar special is the name. And then if I click on that, it will just drill down to what I just did. So hopefully you can see how easy it is to save a package, publish packages. So that's why so many companies are starting to use us for to publish out to their existing portals and also to make use of it. So, and again, apologies for any poor companies and shit companies that are looking at this and saying, what's the point for me? But the widget is definitely a point. Just the house and land packaging is obviously just for people that are doing house and land, and it will give you that option. And again, all those house and land packages, if you click on show estates, you can see literally thousands of different estates that you can sort of jump to and have a look at and say, okay, well, which one is the one that you want to start packaging on? And then you can see and then pick the block and start packaging and saving. So there's 3 minutes ago. There was a lot to pack in on this one. I'm keen to sort of hear if anyone's got any questions that they wanted to ask. And is there anything that you want to actually hear next time? So if there's anything that you want me to focus on, feel free to use this opportunity to click on chat and extend that through. I can notice there's 2 questions that I missed, so I do apologize. Are these images already saved in the program? I answered that earlier. Are the shadows based on actual north point? The shadows is actually based on the true position of the sun in that particular time. So it's the solstice. So it's literally the shadow. So that shadow diagram can be used as a very accurate shadow diagram. If I jump back to the app, I'll flesh that out a little bit more. And apologies for having missed this question. So let's just go back here. And let's just go into 3D mode. I'll have to create a new draft because it's locked as a house and land package. So let me just add a design. And now let's just go 3D. All right. In this case, we do have our full 3D render, so I'll load that in. So here, so we've got the 3D render, and now what you can do is if we pick on the solar, and if I go in map view, it'll be even clearer. You can actually pick the season, summer, spring, etc., and see what the shadow is going to be. So if we do that and pick spring, it'll change. You can even pick the time of day or which day in particular. So summer. So if you're a pool company, you can obviously use summer to see autumn, etc. So it is really, really accurate. So hopefully that answered that question. Any other questions from anyone else? Looks like there's one. No. So basically, I really hope that everyone sort of got value out of this session. We'll be definitely doing it again next month. So this is held on the first Thursday at 11 o'clock every month. And we're basically going through the features that we've released, as well as talking on any of the points that during that month, we got a lot of feedback from our clients as to what they'll like us to focus on. If there's anything in this session that's interested you, whether it's the 3D renders or whether it's the 3D or the landscaping tool, the multi-add tool, or any of the points that we've raised today, and textures and so on, feel free to reach out to us. You can email at support@canibuild.com for existing clients, or you'll reach out to your account manager, or sales@canibuild.com. But on behalf of everyone in Canibuild and the entire team and myself, I really appreciate everyone's time for joining on today. And I genuinely hope you have an enjoyable rest of your day. And definitely come back next month, and we'll be going through quite a few features that we've been working on pretty tirelessly. So thanks again, everyone. Take care. And anyone that's missed it, they'll be able to go to our YouTube channel and see the recording. So thanks very much, everyone, and have a good day.